Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. It's another bit of a gloomy morning here in the south of England. But yeah, I see blue sky out of my window, which is very nice. I'm feeling a bit sleepy, a bit headachy this morning, so I'm going to keep this review as short as possible because, yeah, I'm hoping this headache will shift, but it's just not going away. And it doesn't help that for the past half hour, I don't know what he's doing, but my neighbour has been hammering something, which is all I can hear, this banging for the last half hour. So if you hear banging noises, sorry, I can't help it. It's my neighbour. I don't know what they're doing, but there we go. So this week it's been quite an intense week at work because it's the last week before my holiday. I am now on annual leave for a week, and tomorrow I go to Stratford-upon-Avon, my first holiday in 3 years, because of a combination, obviously because of COVID and places shutting down, and also the anxiety that I developed during that time, which I have fought through really hard, and I'm now in a really good place. So this is my first trip away and I'm going completely on my own. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And I've got a couple of theatre trips planned. And I'm just going to see what happens. Apart from those theatre trips, I haven't planned anything else. So yeah, I'm just going to go with the flow, see what happens. And I've just been paid, so my bank balance might take a little bit of hit. we shall just have to see. Little update on Hatchards, because Hatchards are still opening a shop in Cheltenham, and they said it will be opening early October. We still haven't had an announcement yet what the date is, and it's now the 2nd of October. So I don't know what's going on. So yeah, I'm gonna go as soon as I possibly can, but obviously because I'm in Stratford-upon-Avon for the bulk of the week, it won't be until the following week that I can go into Cheltenham and actually visit the store. But then I don't know what date they're going to be opening, so we'll just have to see. I wonder if they've come across some issues in construction, what they've had to do in the building, and I don't know, I can only speculate. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward for Hatchard's opening, but still no news yet. Also, before I get on with what this video is really about, I started watching Dharma on Netflix. So as I've already mentioned before on this channel, my sister and myself really like true crime. We like reading true crime and all this lot. And so we are familiar with the case of Jeffrey Dahmer. But Jeffrey Dahmer is somebody who, because of his coldness and almost academic kind of calculation of his mind and his kind of justifying what he did, my sister's kind of like, nope, to that case, nope, won't go there. And for me, I don't mind going there, but I have to take it in like small amounts. His mind was so sick and twisted. Oh, so I started watching Dharma, and it's really good, but it is so blunt in various things that have happened compared to other adaptations of his story. I can only watch one episode a day. So I'm going to watch episode 6 today after I get back from mum and dad's, because we spend Sundays together. We have Sunday lunches together. And yeah, and then I have to put pause on that until I get back from my holiday and carry on. But of what I have seen, I think it's brilliant. I honestly think Evan Peters deserves the attention he's getting, but I also believe that I think it's Richard Jenkins, who plays his dad, Lionel, should get more attention than he is getting. And I really, really hope that when awards nominations and such come out, which they will qualify for, I don't know exactly because I can never remember when which awards come up in which months, apart from the Oscars being obviously around February time. But when those nominations do come out, I really hope that he gets nominated as well, because I think he really deserves that. Personally, it's a dark series, and at times it does lead to your imagination of some things, but other times it really doesn't. And so yeah, I'm like, I can only handle one episode a day. I can't what you can't seriously, you can't watch it when you're eating because you don't know what you're going to see on screen next. And it was like the end of episode 1, there was a certain shot where I was like, I didn't need to see that. I didn't need to see that, but I know that because I'm at the midpoint now going into second half, obviously like the goalposts as it were of the darkness of Jeffrey Dahmer, like he's reached the goalpost and then he's going to start moving it, and I have a feeling that as he moves a goalpost and leads himself up to it, that will mean that Ryan Murphy, who's made this series, is going to make it go darker. So yeah, so we'll just have to see what happens with that. But anyway, I'll stop babbling now because it's been 6 minutes and I haven't started on what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the Rag Maid, which is also known as the Rag Nymph. Oh, and there was another title for this book because of later versions, copies of it and such. The titles have changed, or internationally have changed. And I was going to write it down before I press record, and I completely forgot. So I'll put it in the description instead. By Catherine Cookson. Here's one here to review. So this came out in 1991. This particular edition is from 2017 with this cover. And this is my 4th Catherine Cookson book read. And it's one that I have to say I wasn't that impressed by. Now, bear this in mind, right? At this point, 1991, I think she was in about her mid-80s. She died a few days, or maybe like a week or so before her 92nd birthday. And she had published over 100 books by around this point. So I'm like, there's naturally going to be books of hers that I'm not necessarily going to get along with, or stories that just don't capture me in the same way. And this was the case for the Rag Maid. So what this is about is a girl called Millie, who at the very beginning of the book, she's like running through the streets with her mum, and they're being chased by police. And she collides with a woman called Aggie, or Raggy Aggie, as children refer to her as. And the two watch Millie's mother be arrested for prostitution. And it's Aggie just kind of goes, oh God, this child, okay, I'll look after her just while because she has to go on trial and everything. Millie's mother has to go on trial and everything. I'll look after her for a little bit, not realizing that, thinking that what could possibly happen, Millie's mum gets thrown in prison, and so Aggie becomes this kind of surrogate mother to Millie, and it's about Millie growing up and discovering things about herself, starting a new life, and dealing with this new mother in her life who's very different from her actual mother. And Aggie very much, when she's annoyed, and you'll know that she's annoyed. I don't mean by that she like beats Millie or whatever, but it's like she will pick up on stuff and go, oi, don't, stop it. Whereas Millie might have had a bit of a softer treatment, as it were, when she did something bad via her mother. So it's a completely different way of raising her. And Aggie just literally just took this girl in for what she thought would be one night, because she thought, oh, her mum will be let free in the morning after paying a fine or something. But no, the court said otherwise. So yeah, so it's about these two going through life together, and a boy called Ben, who also lives with Aggie, and Aggie sells materials, secondhand clothes and such, in a marketplace. And Ben also helps her with that. He does other jobs as well, but that's their connection. and yeah, and Millie's relationship with Ben as well. Now, there are a lot of aspects in this book which other stories don't tend to go down in this time period. Sorry, I forgot to say it's 1854 when it starts, when Millie's 10, and it goes on until she's about, I think, 18 or 19. So yeah, so in the 1850s, 1860s time period. And yeah, there's sexual exploitation, prostitution, suicide, the court systems, lots of different aspects. Murder, obviously, because Catherine Cookson likes to throw in murder from time to time if she's able to do it, because it's a good plot thing to do. Yeah, there's lots of different things that get thrown about in this book, but overall, for the book itself, it just felt okay. Like, it wasn't to the standard of The Girl, which, granted, was written in 1977, and when Catherine was much younger, and as I said in that review, she'd gone through this very, very brutal period of her life. And this is her in 1991, when she's in her mid to late 80s. So, sorry, no, early to mid 80s. Sorry, I'm getting the timeline muddled up in my head. So yeah, it's just okay. Like, I could comfortably read it, but it kind of felt like, you know how I've previously talked about holiday books, where you can read them, you can pick up the plot really, easily and read it by, but you don't necessarily have to completely concentrate really hard on. It's a bit of an easy read. That's how this one felt for me, but obviously this is just for me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the same for everyone else. I did have a look at reviews on like Goodreads and such, and it's got a 4.1 out of 5, and there were loads of 5-star reviews, and there were various, ones and twos, because people have said, although the story's okay, like how I felt, it was just a bit too simple. It didn't have the level of complexity and structuring as her previous books had. But as I said, this is a woman writing in her 80s after already publishing nearly like 100 books at this point. She'd written a lot. She's gonna have occasional books that just aren't of that great quality compared to other books. But obviously, the what people recognise as being a good book, bad book, or whatever, is their own personal opinion. Just as all the books I review on my channel are of my personal opinion, and there are loads of books where I've said I really like this, where people have gone, well, actually, I had issue with it, or vice versa. So each to their own. But for what it is, it's just an okay book. It's not the best. It doesn't have the same depth and gravitas as previous books, and also sometimes it did frustrate me a bit, because we are following Millie around and such, but we're very much, because she's 10 years old for quite a big chunk of the story, I was just a little bit frustrated. I mean, there are a load of Catherine Cookson books where you start off with our heroine, or Kate on with our hero, because she does have male protagonists from time to time, but it's mainly female. And she does have books from time to time where it starts off when they are very young, and we follow them through the years, or usually there's a time jump of like 7 or 8 years, so that they're about 17, 18 years old when the bulk of the story starts. But in this case, she's young for quite a significant amount of time, and it's like, I was just a bit like, can we get a bit more with the story? Because I find that when Millie is an adult, or as close to an adult as you can be, without actually being declared an adult, it felt like that's when her story really picks up. I understand that with the younger Millie, it's establishing her friendship and such with Ben, and also with Aggie, but it kind of frustrated me a bit. That's what I mean about the structuring and everything not being so tight, and the gravitas not quite being the same. It felt a little, I don't want to say mediocre, but a little disjointed compared to the previous works of hers that I had read. So, I just kind of felt like this is just one of her okay books, not one of her best books. The characters are really quite interesting. I do like the fact that, because as I said, courts and prison and the police and everything is an aspect of this book, and the exploitation, sexual exploitation of women and such. So there are interactions with police, and I like the fact that they've got like this really nice policeman who comes to see, he's friends with Aggie and Ben and Millie. That we have, the light side as well as the dark side in various different aspects of this story. It's got a good setting. It does have a good flow to it. It just doesn't have that extra weightiness that I hoped that it would do. And to be honest, the relationship of Millie and Ben, there's something off about it for me. I don't know what it is. It's not that thing like it's creepy because he has known her since she was little. It's just like the relationship to me is not really believable. I kind of had that feeling when I watched the drama, because the drama, it's just kind of like, okay, right, yeah. It's almost like, okay, getting into a relationship, but knowing that the relationship's going to fall apart at some point. It's not, I don't necessarily see it lasting. And that's how I felt reading Millie and Ben's story. And also when I watched the drama, like it was they're cute, but there's not much to them. So yeah, it was just okay. It wasn't anything special, but then, as I said, she'd written nearly 100 books at this time, and she had lived a long life, and I'm sure she was probably thinking about, having a break possibly from all of her books and her writing and such around this point. But yeah, it was just okay. It wasn't anything special. That, as I said, I mean, I've got like 20 of her books. I'm bound to have, a few that I'm just not going to like as much as the others. I still liked it. I just didn't love it like how I have really liked or loved her 3 books that I've read so far. So it's not bad. It's just okay. So I'm not going to do a reading because I completely forgot to mark out any pages, which I usually do when I am figuring out what to do reading. Maybe it's because I was feeling so meh about it. That was probably why. So I'm not going to do a reading. I will talk about the drama instead. So yes, it was made into a drama in 2001. It was one of the last Catherine Cookson dramas that got made. And unfortunately, I looked on YouTube this morning if I could find anything for it, and I couldn't really. There's nothing there, so that's unfortunate. But I'm sure you might be able to find it if you look around for these dramas on other platforms and such, or if you get a hold of the DVD set, you'll be able to watch it. But yeah, the drama, I put it in like the middle group of because I did a whole ranking thing for my sister and our friend Sarah. Hi Laura and Sarah, by the way, if you're watching this. And yeah, I think it went in the middle into my comfortable set, in that I could very easily just kind of like the book, I could easily watch this, feel completely comfortable. It's a decent drama, it's well acted, it's well put together. But I'm just, yeah, but it's not like Oh my god, it's the first one that I think of when I really want to sink my teeth into a Catherine Cookson story. And I think it's because of Millie and Ben at the end of the day. It's their story. There's always a couple in Catherine Cookson's books who are really key to the whole progression of her books. And Millie and Ben, because I don't see their relationship as being that believable. I can't go there. I don't. I think it's just okay. No matter how well it's acted, no matter how well directed, put together, all that jazz, it just will be okay. The actual, I do want to give props for them not shying away from the darker sides of this story with, as I said, sexual exploitation, suicide, murder, all that jazz. They don't shy away from it. They show it for what it is and such. And yeah, so some dramas do shy away from certain aspects in Catherine Cookson dramas that I have come across so far. But yeah, this one was pretty clear that it was going to show everything, so I can only commend them for that. So yeah, it's just been a bit of an okay reading week. It hasn't really been that great. But I go on holiday tomorrow, so let's see what happens then. And my next read, I've actually left over there on my coffee table, which I didn't realise before I started recording. God, this is going well, isn't it? So my next read is The Essex Serpent, which I'm very excited for. But I've talked about that before I've done my usual questions. Let's do that first. So, usual questions. Would I read this again? I'm not that fussed about reading it again, but if I had just needed a Catherine Cookson book that's just plain simple and just something to fill a gap, then yeah, I would. Would I recommend this to anyone? I don't know if I would recommend this specific book, but if somebody was just wanting a light read, I wouldn't turn them away from it whatsoever. Yeah, I probably would, but I would probably just say that it's not her best book. Would I read any more Catherine Cookson? Well, of course I will. I'm reading a load of books of hers that I have in my collection. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on The Rag Maid or The Rag Nymph. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. And I'll be back with my thoughts on The Essex Serpent, as mentioned, which I would hold here, but I haven't got it in my hands right now. And yeah, so I'm going to be away until Friday. So if people do send me comments or and such as that while I'm away, it might just be a bit of time before I get back to you because of my holiday. And yeah, I'm just going to go with the flow, see what happens, and yeah, have some fun. So, all right, guys, see you later.